Good, happy Friday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Friday evening edition of WRMK News 12. We have a lot of news to get to on this Friday evening, so let's get started right now. It's Friday, January 9th, 2026. First up, flu cases climb across New Hampshire as the season intensifies. Flu activity is on the rise across New Hampshire, according to new data released by State Department of Health and Human Services. The weekly flu report for the period ending December 27th shows cases increased by more than 10% statewide. So, for this season, 12 adult deaths linked to influenza have been reported, including 6 in most recent weeks. High levels of respiratory illness are being recorded in every county except Carroll County. State epidemiologist Dr. Benjamin Chan said the increase follows a familiar seasonal pattern, with illnesses typically rising in December and peaking during January and February. On average, about 40 people die from influenza each year in New Hampshire, he said. Last season, however, proved for more severe, with 85 deaths attributed to influenza or related complications, including one child. That's a very high number, Chan said. Whether or not we'll reach those levels remain to be seen. But given the flu activity we're seeing so far in New Hampshire, this season is likely to be very close or similar to the severity we saw last year. Chan urged residents to follow standard precautions to limit the spread of illness, including staying home when sick, covering coughs and sneezes, and washing hands frequently. He also emphasized that it is not too late to get a flu vaccine, noting that several weeks remain in the flu season and vaccinations can reduce the risk of serious illnesses. Man convicted in multi-million-dollar gold bar scam targeting a New Hampshire senior. A man accused of orchestrating a multi-million-dollar scam against an elderly New Hampshire resident has been found guilty on all charges. The jury convicted G. Lee of conspiracy to commit theft by deception and attempted theft by deception for his role in a scheme that targeted a 72-year-old man and pressured him to surrendering more than $3 million worth of gold bars. Prosecutors said the victim turned over the gold during 4 separate meetings. According to prosecutors, Lee was arrested after walking through a parking lot where a sting operation involving the FBI and Concord police was planned. Investigators said Lee had the victim's name, address, and other personal information stored on his phone at the time. Defense attorneys argued during the trial that Lee was not involved in the scam, but jurors rejected that claim. Lee is scheduled to be sentenced later this month. Rochester man sentenced to prison in fatal hit and run that killed Air National Guard General. An 82-year-old Rochester man convicted of killing New Hampshire Air National Guard General Brig John Porkerick in a hit and run crash was sentenced Friday to 10 years in state prison. Paul Clement was found guilty of negligent homicide for the 2024 crash, which prosecutors said occurred as Clement was driving home from a Rochester bar. Authorities said Clement did not contact police until several hours after the collision. During the sentencing hearing, family members and loved ones of Pogrek spoke about the lasting impact of his death. His wife, Whitney Lee Pogrek, told the court her husband was killed just 2 days before the couple's 9th wedding anniversary. This isn't a cancer or heart attack we're talking about here, she said. This was a completely avoidable tragedy, and I will not dishonor my grief by calling it an accident. It was completely unavoidable. It's unacceptable, and shame on him. Prosecutors said Clement struck Pogrek and fled the scene. When Clement's blood alcohol content was later tested, it measured 0.123, well above the legal limit of 0.08, according to the state. Clement's relatives also addressed the court, describing the toll the incident has taken on his life. His niece, Amber David, said the crash had permanently changed him. He's not the same man now. He won't be. He shouldn't be, David said. Someone with a good heart couldn't be. He'll think of this for the rest of his life. It's affected a lot of people in this room in different ways, and I'm sorry that happened. Clement attempted to apologize directly to Pogrek family, but they left the courtroom before he spoke. It is devastating for me to know that I'm responsible for the suffering, but I know that I am, Clement said. I'm so very sorry. I'm so ashamed that I've hurt so many people. Former nursing assistant faces new child sexual assault charges in Concord. A former nursing assistant already accused of sexual assaulting a child at a Manchester hospital is now facing additional felonious charges in Concord involving multiple young children. Police said Alexander Kulbroth, 25 of Manchester, was arrested after a Concord woman contacted authorities with concerns raised by her children. According to court documents, the woman hired Kulbroth in early September through the babysitting website to care for her 3 children, ages 8, 5, and 3. Investigators said the 2 youngest children, both girls, reported that Kulbroth filmed them while they were using the bathroom. Police said those videos were later found on Kulbroth's phone along with additional recordings showing him touching the children inappropriately. Kulbroth is now facing multiple felonious charges in Concord, including manufacturing child sex abuse images, felonious sexual assault, violation of privacy, and endangering the welfare of a child through the solicitation of a sexual encounter. The arrest comes about a month after Kulbroth was taken into custody in Manchester, where he was accused of sexually assaulting an 8-year-old girl while working as a nursing assistant at Elliott Hospital. Police said the case underscores the importance of open communication between parents and children. Keep the conversation going, said Lieutenant Thomas. Just talk to your kids. Ask how their day is. Ask if there's anything going on. The New Hampshire Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, which works with crisis-affected families, echoed that message. Coalition coordinator Meg Chant said it is never too late to encourage children to speak up. For parents, it It's really about listening to and believing children when they're speaking up, Chant said. And then seeking help. That's what matters the most. Chant said the family in this case responded appropriately, but noted that law enforcement is not the only option for parents seeking guidance. If a parent is trying to work through a situation and doesn't yet know what's going on, especially when they noticed behavioral changes, they can call a crisis center, she said. Those advocates can help talk it through. In a statement from that babysitting website said it uses tools such as identity verification, sex offender registry checks, and background screenings to monitor caregivers on its platform. The company said Kohlroth was removed in May of 2025 for violating its term of use, in families who had contact with him through the site were notified. If convicted on the new charges, Kohlroth could face more than 50 years in prison. Man killed in snowmobile crash on a trail in Colebrook. A 63-year-old man was killed Thursday evening in a snowmobile crash on a trail in Colebrook, according to authorities. Officials identified the victim as Bradford Jones of Alton. Investigators said Jones lost control of his snowmobile while attempting to navigate a turn on Quarter Trail 5. The machine left the trail and struck several trees before Jones was thrown from the snowmobile. Another rider who was traveling in the area called 911. Emergency responders to the scene and crews responded to the scene and attempted life-saving measures. But Jones died from his injuries. The crash remains under investigation. That does it for this evening edition of WRMK News 12 on this Friday evening. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great rest of your evening. Good night and goodbye.